So we're live and we're just going to wait for a couple of minutes for all the attendees to join in and we'll start.
Okay.
I think we should start. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DigiBank, the Banking Transformation Summit organized by Khaleej Times. My name is Varsha. I'm from Khaleej Times. Moving on to the next session of today, we have the panel discussion, which is the C-suite panel, the role of technology in the new world banking order. Our moderator for today would be Mr. Vineet Madan. He's a former head of retail banking, Bank Misr. Vineet is a seasoned banker, passionate about helping banks transform strategically and become more customer-centric by adopting relevant digital business strategies and techniques and building high-performance teams. He's convinced that the future of life, is, not just work, is virtually connected world. Over 15 years in the banking industry across India and the Gulf has allowed him to offer deep domain knowledge as well as understanding of the implication of technology in the banks and has largely been responsible for undertaking large-scale transformation exercises, be it strategic reorientation of the international network of one of the largest banks in the region or developing the retail businesses from down of another leading bank of the region. So welcome, Mr. Vineet. It's an absolute honor to have all of you on board. I would request Vineet to take over and you can start your session.
Thank you, Varsha. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here on this panel. Looking forward to an interesting discussion. We have a great panel of speakers here today, I'd probably quickly go ahead and give a brief round of introductions to everyone before we start. So first, we have Mr. Ayman Al-Qudsi. He's currently the Chief Information Officer at United Arab Bank. Welcome, Ayman.
Hello. Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Ayman brings more than 22 years experience in leveraging technology to drive organizational growth, performance, profitability, and leading IT initiatives in support of business strategies and objectives. His prime responsibilities are to drive the bank into digital transformation journey, revamping technology, automating back-end processes, improving customer experience, and building the data strategy of the future. Welcome once again, Ayman.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Pankaj Asthana. He's the Vice President, Digital Payments and Labs, MasterCard, Middle East and North Africa. Pankaj heads MasterCard's digital products and labs in the MENA region. His responsibilities include accelerating the adoption of digital payment technologies like contactless, e-commerce, QR, remittance, and network tokenization, building fintech community partnerships, and exploring the commercial applicability of concepts like blockchain and open banking for banks, merchants, and government. Pankaj has been closely involved in driving the rapid adoption of contactless payments in markets like USA, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait, and has championed the proliferation of mobile-based tokenized payments, including the launch of Apple and Samsung Pay, among others in the region. Welcome, Pankaj.
Delighted to be here. Hi, everyone.
Then we have Mr. Steve Monaghan. He's the EVP and Chief Digital Officer at Riyadh Bank. Steve is a general partner at FinMalai and an EVP at Riyadh Bank. Steve has held senior corporate and banking roles in product marketing, operations, innovation, and general management. He has worked for leading corporations and financial institutions, including Dell, Compaq, Citigroup, OCBC, DBS, and others. Throughout his career, Steve has specialized in introducing new business models, businesses, and products in all major markets in Asia and has 6 patents in fintech. Welcome, Steve.
Great. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Last but not the least, Mr. Nankumar Janardhan. He's the head of operational risk at NBQ. Throughout his career of 38 years, Nankumar has specialized in introducing new business models, businesses, and products in all major markets in Asia and has filed 6 patents in fintech. He has extensive experience in project management activities entailing planning, scheduling, negotiations with the client for service level agreements. Welcome, Mr. Nankumar.
Welcome to all. Thanks for the introduction.
Great. I think we'll straight get into the discussion. My first question to generally to the panel is, We are living in these unprecedented times. This global pandemic, people say, has really accelerated the whole digital transformation journey of banks. I want to understand, in your opinion, maybe Eamon, we can start with you. How has the global pandemic accelerated this digital evolution? And if you can share maybe one example that strikes you the most.
Good morning, everybody. Definitely, it has accelerated the growth for digital evolution. Let me start first with the very small, funny story that I share with everybody. Back in 2005, 2007, I was living in the States. I was working for a university. At that time in the US, we were hit with the epidemic of the bird flu. It brings actually deja vu when we had the COVID. We looked at different solutions during the epidemic for students not to come to college. We were encouraging students to use the e-learning courses. We were encouraging faculty and staff to work remotely. At that period of time, the gas prices were hitting the $3 mark, skyrocketed. It did not work out. People kept coming to the college. People kept coming to work. So, but now look at the situation. People are preferring to work remotely. Things changed. I think we were forced all to think about different solutions out of the box. With that said, at the UAB, during this challenging time, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, it was an opportunity for us to improve our process, to enhance our IT technology stack, to advance and accelerate our digital transformation journey. We started an IT transformation plan in 2018, which we wanted to enable the bank to provide digital services. During this pandemic, actually, we have availed a lot of online services for our customers to prevent them from coming to the branch. One of the biggest achievement, actually, the KYC. We have availed a portal online for KYC access where customers can update their KYC information online. We have availed it on the ATM. From the back end, actually, we had to automate a lot of the back end processes in operation. During this time, a lot of the staff were working from home. So we had to automate a lot of the processes by using RPA technologies. So we have enhanced the technology. We reduced the turnaround time. We kept the experience for our customers at the best. And we have helped our internal staff, to become more productive and efficient working from home.
Right. Thanks, Eamon. I think you give a good perspective of how this this pandemic made you and your bank improve efficiencies internally by automating processes. Pankaj, if I may come to you, you obviously interact with banks and you have probably an outside kind of opinion. What do you see in terms of the impact of pandemic on the whole digital adoption in banks?
Yeah, so I'd sort of precurse this with, what's happened to consumer behavior, and I think that's really the genesis of all responses that banks are also looking at. So if you look at it, consumer behavior, McKinsey estimates we've vaulted 5 years in terms of digital adoption. There were other studies like the Ernst & Young Future Consumer Index, which has estimated that there's going to be a 57% fall in cash usage alongside a 7% increase in credit card as well as 10% uptake in debit. So the data is clearly showing the kind of numbers of adoption that we are seeing. This is very, very rapid. So consumers are moving towards digital at an unprecedented scale. And within that, our data shows a very interesting trend that most of the remote commerce that has taken place has actually happened through the mobile devices. It's not happening through your laptop or PC computer. So people are vaulting to a digital revolution. So that's the first part and what's happening on consumer side. The second part is what's happening with regulators and regulators enabling fintechs and other players into the payment ecosystem. So regulators across the region, including in UAE, have made it easier for customers to open their accounts completely digitally. They're investing in big technologies that will make instant KYC digitally possible and simpler. We are seeing EMI license, stored value regulations coming up, which will make it easy for fintechs and innovators to participate in a financial transaction process. So these were two very major trends that have informed the bank's approach on digital itself. And I completely agree with Eamon. We have seen a phenomenal increase across the banks to improve their ability to go digital. We have also seen that digital is a place where banks need to be prepared in advance. Very clearly, the banks who were well invested in e-commerce, who had all their plastic cards enabled with contactless, and within e-commerce, who had very strong communication and adoption strategies, these banks have gained market share. Very visible, very evident. So big chunk of the action that banks are taking is that they need to start investing in infrastructural needs to be ready for this digital revolution that has happened and that is going to play out in the next few years.
Right, right. No, thanks, Pankaj. Good perspective. I think I kind of agree with you. I think both the customer experience, which is really driving this change, and I think the regulations are more acting like a facilitator and supporting in building this ecosystem. I've kind of, played a big role. Mr. Nankumar, if I were to come to you, from your perspective, at NBQ, how have you seen, the impact of pandemic on your digital journey?
At the outset, let me thank Khalid Times for organizing this online seminar, and giving us the opportunity to speak. To go on to the subject, before the outbreak of the pandemic, banks across the world were struggling to convince customers to shift to digital banking. I think the percentage is somewhere around 30 to 40%. But this pandemic has been a blessing in disguise, as customers have been conscious of virus effects on cash notes, touching ATM keypads, and they all want to shift to digital payments because they were not prepared to come to the bank. And if you know, a research done 2-3 years back, about 4 billion cash is being withdrawn from ATM every month. And there's an opportunity to shift these transactions to digital. Though the banks are all well invested, I think you have to convince these customers to come to digital banking. And that's what has happened. In the last 6 months, customers have subscribed to the online banking and mobile banking, but these are generally available for retail, as corporate banking is yet to provide entire gamut of banking service through digital banking. Banks have been encouraging customers to use digital channels by offering discounted tariffs, favorable exchange rates, targeted marketing campaigns with free offers on registration for mobile applications, tutorial sessions on how to use sessions, staff incentives, transaction rationalizations, sales executive and call center support. So
Right.
there's a surge in online banking activities, and even central bank recently has asked for statistics from all the banks, and I see about 30% has increased the transactions from branch banking to online banking.
Right. No, absolutely. I think that this change is here for good, I think. If I can go to Steve now, Steve, I mean, from your perspective, you're the chief digital officer. How, in your opinion, can banks really be prepared to kind of enhance this reliance on digital channels to serve customers? And does this reliance kind of put some pressure on the existing technology infrastructure of banks?
I think the first duty of anything in
Hello?
Looks like an audio.
Yep. Steve? I'm not sure. Can you hear us, Steve? Hello? Steve, are you there? I think we've kind of lost Steve. Let me take Eamon. Eamon, if you can come in on that question.
Yes, till Steve comes back. I think from an operation perspective, it's so funny. 2-3 years ago today, whenever we implement an online or mobile banking, whenever we do a utilization performance testing, we accommodate for about 30-40% of the usage, to be mobile versus online versus the branch. Nowadays, whenever you want to implement a mobile banking or an online banking, whenever you do a load testing or a performance testing, you need to ensure that it's accommodating all of our customers online and mobile, because they're sitting home. We're telling people to use mobile and online. So whenever you do your testing, you need to ensure you're doing a proper testing end to end. So from an operation perspective or infrastructure perspective, high availability is crucial to digital to succeed. Performance testing is crucial. Making sure that whenever you test, you make sure that number of users are properly tested. Network bandwidth is a key to your success. We're telling people to work from home, and then here you go, you don't have the network bandwidth to accommodate the users, using online or mobile. At the same time, the capabilities to have a proper NOC and SOC. During this pandemic, people are home, systems are going down, and if you don't have a proper network monitoring solution or an application monitoring solution, you will fail, and you'll get to know it from the customer, and that's what kills your customer experience. So a proper NOC solution and SOC solution should be in place. Now, from a planning perspective, I can think of about several things that you need to take care of. A proper enterprise architect. I come from an operation background, so I believe in building blocks. You cannot stop digital, and you cannot tell your CEO, I'm sorry, man, I have to build my infrastructure first, and then we can run with digital. So building blocks, leave core at core, let core do what it's supposed to do. At the same time, build your proper satellite systems around. So have a proper enterprise architect, a proper digital platform that can talk to your internal applications internally and can connect to the cloud with the proper open API systems. I believe DevOps will become the norm nowadays. Have it embedded in your DNA for your team. The rapid deployment should be in there. Deploying applications on the fly, having microservices, building containers on the cloud. Those are all key success factors, to fly.
Right. No, absolutely. I think, Eamon, you make some valid points here. Stephen, do we have you back?
Yeah, sorry, there was interruption to our Wi-Fi.
Never mind. Would you want me to repeat the question, or you're okay?
No, I think I'm fine with picking it up. Yeah. I think one of the key benefits by looking at it from the customer's perspective is it really got you to focus in on a few things. One was customer experience. We took the opportunity to really define that and look at it from the customer's perspective, and I think our Apple Store and our Google Store ratings increased tremendously during that period. The second thing was to start using data, and I think that was mentioned earlier, but data started to really give us insight into the sustainability of what was happening outside. And then to start looking at programs that could help our customers, instead of just saying they're not transacting, how do we help them transact? How do we take them through getting their businesses back online? So immediately that became a focus for us. So I think, and one of the other things I think to notice is that pulling back on another point that was made about digital is the importance of getting it right the first time. We know from Bain's research that the NPS doubles if you get it right the first time. So it becomes incredibly important to really think through all the elements that lie behind that, scalability of architecture, all those sorts of things, but most importantly, really the design around that customer experience and ensuring that it hits the mark every time.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, Steve, for your perspective. I want to move to a different subject now. So, it's very clear from what I hear from you all that, new digital products, new initiatives, being customer centric is very critical. But how can banks go about doing it? Do they have to, kind of build all of these themselves, or they have to look at partnerships in a different perspective? Pankaj, maybe if I can start with you, what's your perspective? How do banks go about redefining their current partnerships, supply relationships, etc., to be more digitally relevant?
So partnerships has never been more important. I mean, we've always said it's important, but the buy, build versus partner approaches, I think have taken a completely new complexion. Firstly, because the fintech environment is bursting, and there is an encouragement to that environment. So we are going to see more players coming into the fray, and not only the fintech, the nature of partnerships also with other traditional players is going through a redefinition. So think about how banks partner with government, or companies like MasterCard partner with government, the creation of new JVs. Different companies from different industries sort of coming together. So this is almost going to demand a new practice by itself on how well we partner. And if I were to speak about what MasterCard's been doing in the space, it could be probably indicative of the demands of the time. So one is on the fintech partnership side, we need robust programs through which you can filter and identify companies that are doing interesting works that talks to the needs that Stephen and Eamon and Mr. Nankumar also referred to. Uh, some fintechs will help you drive better CX. There will be others who will help drive certain value added features and services. And it may be a very logical thing for you to say that, I don't want to build this expertise in house. But to Eamon's point, exactly, you can't keep changing your technology stacks overnight again. So there will be fintechs who will provide you the value added features and services. Then there will be other fintechs who could actually be helping you create that middle layer and that enterprise capabilities to help talk to these fintechs. So we are seeing partnerships in that space as well. So we almost call them as tech orchestrators. And we are seeing a burst of innovation happening in tech orchestrations, apart from fintechs that provide value added features. Then there are other operators who bring other dimensions of value, like they may already have a physical distribution, and we are seeing a lot of these kind of partnerships trying to be evolved between banks and MNOs and telcos. So that is another very hot area where we are seeing a lot of engagement and interaction. And then I'll touch with what's happening with the government, and that sort of really shaped Mastercard's thinking as well. We clearly see ourselves as a multi-rail company now. And the fact is that the future of good payment experiences is not going to drive on only the card rails. There will be other rails. There will be other ways in which these technologies and services will be made accessible to the end users. We are very big on working with governments in developing local ecosystems. For example, MasterCard acquired VocaLink, which manages the ACH in UK. And now we are working alongside very closely in partnership with Saudi Payments to bring fast ACH into Saudi. That has nothing to do with card payments. Similarly, in the UAE, we have worked with the Emirates Digital Wallet to launch their Clip platform. So it is bringing the best technologies of MasterCard that we've learned from global experience and helping contextualize and bring locally relevant solutions in the UAE. We are right now also working very closely in developing our open banking practice, because we again understand that payments of the future will be API driven, and may not be necessarily on card rails. Now to really come and operate in this kind of diversity, both banks, schemes, and other operators need to have a framework through which they will identify who they want to partner with, and sort of define what those partnerships will deliver to them. So I would say that this is another area of high interest, as banks and other entities are fast tracking their ability to figure out how they can partner. And in that context, MasterCard has also been running a couple of very vibrant programs that is aimed at the banks, the merchants, and the government. One program is called the Start Path. The Start Path is aimed at making sure that we screen some of the best fintech talent on value added features and services. And the banks can then access them and say, okay, these services can be actually fulfilled through these partnerships in an easy and seamless ways to integrate to them. So that's one partnership rail that we are driving on the fintech side. And we have another program called Engage, which is to work with tech orchestrators to make it easy for banks to integrate with all this new innovation that's happening in the market. So these are just a few instances of how MasterCard's working in this area. But I think to your point, the bigger thing is it is absolutely essential. We need to recognize that partnerships will play a very important role. And I think work is still underway in figuring out what those best frameworks will look like.
Right. Thanks, Pankaj. You have a very good perspective on the importance of partnerships and really the role that Mastercard is playing and is actually likely to continue to play in the future. Yeah, thanks so much for your inputs, Mr. Nankumar. Maybe if I can kind of get your perspective. What do you think? How else can banks really launch new digital products and remain viable through partnerships? What's your perspective?
Yeah, the question say remain viable in current pandemic. my perspective is to take care of customer also. Now, just to continue with what Pankaj said, that clip service, Emirates digital wallet, I think about 16 banks are going to come with wallet services, and entire UAE will be connected through wallet. And that time, I think we would have shifted nearly about 30 to 40% of cash transactions, even from small vendors to the big vendors. All the cash transaction will be shifted to wallet transactions.
Right.
Why I said customer perspective is that, we can have a very good app and very secure app and all that. But if customer is finding it very difficult to use it, then we are making the customer dissatisfied with the service. So my key suggestion here will be, keep a proactive track of customer complaints. Just find out what are the problems in using the app. Our call center should need to be, strengthened by giving them support. We can study the customer demand analytics and find out is there any delay in response. We can use chatbots and to, all these predefined problems what customers face, that can be addressed. And I think there was a prediction that if chatbots are used, it is going to reduce the operational cost savings for banking for nearly about $7.3 billion by 2023. So that's a good, the investment, whatever we are making now, we may get benefits out of that basically. Next will be using a technology. Customers may find it difficult, it is slow, and it is cumbersome. I think this is where we have to keep supporting the customer and find out what's their problems and make those applications user friendly and easy to use, easy to navigate through. These are the areas which we need to work on. Secondly, because in the last 6 months, if you have seen, all the banks have sent communications to customers to stay healthy, follow all these social distancing and COVID-19 protocols. But hardly anybody has sent out how to use this. Some banks have come out with videos how to use the sessions and all this. This is another good initiative. So we have to categorize the customers according to the risk category. Central Bank has already taken initiative to protect and support the SME customers, but nothing there for the depositors basically. So we need to categorize that and have, take actions to protect our customers basically. One more important area will be our employees, who are working from home. They are really going through different atmosphere. We need to communicate to them that bank is taking care of those employees. And some large organizations have already said that, okay, one week work from home, 1 week work from office. So this just to kill the monotony and have a good balance of work and life. So that is one area. Then rest we have to see with all the suppliers and what are the contingency plans and are they ready to support even from even such crisis appears in the future or during this period. This is what I would like to add.
Right. No, thank you so much, Mr. Nandkumar, for your insights. I think we have about 3 minutes before we have to get into Q&A. So what I'd like to do is maybe kind of look at futuristic thinking and maybe seek your opinion on what do you see as the likely 3 or so trends to look out for, from a digital banking perspective. And if I may start with Stephen yourself, if you can share with us what you think are the things we should all look out for.
I think banking's in the middle of transforming from a reconciled business to a real-time business to a predictive business. And really that's enabled by A, B, C, D, automation, blockchain, cloud, and data. Pretty straightforward, focus on people, platform, product, and intelligence. I think, the key to the future of banking is really about data enrichment and looking at how you drive additional value for your customers through differentiated experience and insight. So it's not all just about customer experience.
Right. Thanks, Stephen. Eamon, quickly, if you can just kind of share your thoughts.
I totally agree with Steve. Actually, he hit it spot on. By the way, data is the key. Data is your bank's asset, and without data, you cannot move anywhere. And you need to do your proper data quality, faster processing, introduce AI and machine learning. Another one, I'll be more specific in technology. RPA is going to take a different term by introducing an intelligence to it. So it's not about automation anymore. It's about introducing the intelligent part in automation, where you can do more decision making. RegTech, regulatory technology, they have to catch up. Digital is moving so fast. So with regulatory technology, it will have to move faster to accommodate ADW with MasterCard, our friend Pankaj, you know, digital onboarding, KYC. So they have to catch up. And I can see more digital banks are going into the future. No more branches. You're going to hear a lot of this buzzword of digital banks with no branches.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Pankaj.
Yeah, I think Stephen and Eamon have really hit a lot of the hot buttons. So let me try to add three more to it, which is probably refashioning some that Eamon's already mentioned. The first is digital first. And when we talk about digital first, it means how do I attract, onboard, activate, and engage a customer? That entire cycle. So that how are you communicating to the customer? How are you getting them on board? This instant KYC and being able to instantly issue them an account and a card to get started immediately. Their ability to make a payment from the phone itself or from a digital device itself without waiting for a plastic card or for a statement to come over emails. How do you create those experiences? This whole box is called digital first, and we have seen a major thrust in that area. We've in fact even worked very closely with Riyadh Bank on that, and we are underway working on something with them. So I was very happy to see Stephen
Right.
on the session there. And the second big trend is connected commerce. So we do expect user experiences at the point of sale to evolve. And this is going to become quite big. So the way the consumer experiences have been determined in the past are set for change, and this is going to really pick up in the coming days. And the third one that I would talk about is with buy now, pay later, there is a rethinking on how consumers will access credit. And that is going to be a very exciting area to watch as well. So in addition to what Eamon and Stephen would say, I would say look out for digital first, look out for what's happening in connected commerce, and look out for what's going to happen with buy now, pay later solutions.
Right. Listen, thanks so much, Pankaj. Thanks, everyone. I think we need to move into our Q&A, given that we have about 4 minutes left. So my first question that I have, I think it's back to you, Pankaj. It's for you. The question is, how is MasterCard taking digital payments to a new era? I mean, I think what it means is, what exactly is MasterCard really doing to push digital payments in the region here?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, the essential part to realize is that MasterCard, contrary to its brand name, is no longer a cards company. We are a multi-rail company. We are looking at driving a multi-rail strategy where we are partnering with local ecosystems, as we've discussed with Clip and what we are doing with the VocaLink in Saudi. We are looking at solutions like open banking and blockchain. Incidentally, MasterCard has the third highest number of corporate patents in the area of blockchain. So we are looking at new technologies that is driving it. And third is partnerships. So I talked about StartPath and Engage already. There's another program called FinTech Express, which is along with banks and payment processors, we are coming up with a joint offering that will make it easy for fintechs and new businesses to have a payment product enabled for them. So these are just some of the initiatives, but yeah, there's a very big line of thinking on multi-rail and financial inclusion to make sure that we are addressing not only the needs of the people who are already banked, but we're also getting creative in which ways in which we can get more people into the banking frame.
Right. My next question, Mr. Nankumar, it's for you. Obviously with work from home, gaining traction, how are banks managing security? I believe it's about security of data. With the increase in digital transactions, have you seen a spike in transaction frauds, given that most transactions are now being done digitally?
Yes, but banks do have very strong firewalls for all these activities. And basically, work from home, the way we have done is that, you're going to access from your laptop, but you're going to connect to your PC actually. And your PC has to be on in the office, and everything, the firewalls are all there. So the data cannot be downloaded, cannot be into your PC. So all those protections are all there. And frauds, of course, are happening, but then we have efficient fraud monitoring systems. But then these thieves are better than the police, as they say. They all will come out with new frauds, and we are there to arrest them as soon as we catch them. Basically.
Right, right. I think we have probably time for maybe one question, and I'll go to Stephen for that. Stephen, banks typically, their traditional business models are threatened, right? We have lower interest rates, profitability is hard to come by.
Kidding me. Hello.
What kind of new revenue streams do you think
I think from a new revenue stream standpoint, the banks are going to start using their data and using their financial capacity and capability to create value for customers in different way. And that's going to be driven around an optimization, around the agenda of optimization for customers. So no longer, moving from facilitation, you're moving to optimization. So that piece is going to be the profit driver of the future for banking, without question.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I think we're out of time now. I would like to thank all of you, Mr. Ayman, Mr. Nandkumar, Mr. Pankaj, Mr. Stephen. Thanks so much for your time. And thank you so much, Varsha.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. It was an amazing session that we had with all of y'all. I hope all the attendees had a great time joining us. There were too many questions, but we are out of time. I would request all the attendees to please go at the agenda and join in the next session. Our next session would be on strategy for faster growth and increased savings in FRI. So I would request all the attendees to please join our next session. It starts at 11. It has already started 11:20. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.